Hello people, welcome back to the Tech of Tomorrow podcast, where we believe that the real technology of the future are the humans building the technology and shaping that future. Before we introduce the guest today, please remember to follow the channel, subscribe to it, leave a comment, follow the show on Spotify and all the other platforms so that I can keep bringing you the best quality guests like the guest that I have today. Who is the guest? Today's guest is the co-founder of Humanindata, a founding member of the World Metaverse Council, and the CEO at Blockchain Helix. His name is Oliver. Oliver, welcome to the show.
Hey, Sebastian, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of activities right now in the AI space, anyhow. So that's why there's a lot of activities, and that comes into our code base. So it's great.
Good to hear. Also, we're not calling far away from each other, right? We are geographically very close.
Yeah, we're sitting in Frankfurt, and so it's really interesting to see that there's so many different corporates right now. There's a analytics about 65% of German companies has to move into AI. And that's what we find out if we're discussing with them, of course, on different levels, you know. But Frankfurt is a corporate-related city.
Tell us more about moving to AI. More specifically, let's start with Humanindata. What do you guys do?
So in Humanindata, what we're providing is AI data training, right? So you see that if you're a corporate and you're getting into your own use case that has certain AI features built into it. Can be a chatbot, can be related to some kind of insurances, can be related to medical stuff. You always have to deal with data. Yeah. Normally, what you find out that your own AI model has to be trained as such with any kind of your data, if it's a retrieval augmented generation part or RAG, or if it's something that is based on the basis so that you're creating your own models. You always have to do this with proper data that is fully in line with your corporate identity, with your corporate ethical parts, and with everything that you are dealing with. On the one side, your customers, on the other side, maybe your end consumers, and on the other side, maybe in the internal team. So that's really something that is very, very important for corporates so that they're dealing as a full stack. And this is why it is necessary to have AI data training from ground zero.
How hard, how big and how tough is the competition in your field? How many companies are there like Humanindata?
I mean, there are a couple of different companies right now. There's, for instance, Scale AI in the US market is one of our competitors. They have a valuation of $14 billion. I'm just saying it is like this. I don't know why, but it is like this. And there are other competitors from other maybe markets like Africa, like Asia. But if you're dealing with certain ethical parts, if you're dealing with companies in the European or German world here, there are not too many competitors because there's quite a lot of action that you have to do here. There's a lot of technology. And the most important thing is that you have to have data workers that are fully verified, right? Because what you find out otherwise, what we see mainly on our competitors and even on AWS and so on is the same thing. That they're just providing, the people are just doing whatever they like, so to say, and get a bit of money out of it. But the data that is then trained can be really has a lot to do with bots and so on. And this is not what we're doing. Every worker is fully verified. Everything that they have a certain certification for, medical, biology, financial parts, legal parts. This is what brings them up from their reputation oracles as well. It's really important. And of course, the other thing is then how do you want to deal with them? You know, how do you pay them? That's what we're providing here as well. And of course, the other thing is directly getting the jobs done. It's not a job like Fiverr. It's not a one-to-one job, but you create a job like you need, for instance, an annotation service, or you need prompt engineering, or you need red teaming. You always have a job that you're providing there as a company, and this is then for instance, like 100 people or 1,000 people. Those people has to be from Germany, or within a certain gender, or with a certain age, or with a certain certification. This is something that we're providing, and this is the most important part for corporates, you know.
Okay. How you're competing mainly in the German market then, right?
A German market, I mean, the AI world is much bigger than just Germany, right? I mean, we have this EU AI Act that is for companies in whole Europe, and right now, of for instance, are giving certain information just out for the US market or other markets, but not Europe, because Europe has a lot of different additional problems maybe for those solutions like Apple or OpenAI, and those are really important topics that is from the compliance side, from the legal side, very, very strict, so that corporates can really go ahead, you know. And this is a very open discussion that we have right now with so many different corporates.
How do you feel about it? Do you think that Europe is over-regulating in regards to AI, or do you think we are on the right path?
That's a good question. First of all, what we are getting as a EU AI Act is not that defined in detail. So it's an open discussion for certain elements here. But the main thing is you have to think about, there is a discussion regarding model collapse, you know, because what we're dealing here, something like OpenAI came about in the world, like really in charge of everything, like 2 years back, and they scraped a lot of different data from the web. That's what we found out, right? And what we're doing a lot now. When this AI part is really getting into a traction that is very, very intense, now we're on a fully different view. Right now, they're still using scraped web content, but the content from the web is created from AI itself, from generative AI, you know? And this is a huge problem. It's a huge problem, yeah? And this is called model collapse. And that's why it's so important that there's always people involved into it that are really getting into what do you actually want? And is this data true? Is this data fraud-free? And this is something that is very, very important, you know?
Is there any way to avoid model collapse? Because from how you frame it, it sounds kind of inevitable.
There are certain capabilities here, yes. Fraud detection is the major part here. Fraud detection is really important. The other thing is that, and what the big providers actually want to do as well with Microsoft and others, that they have some kind of an additional element that claims certain content is from the generative AI world. But this is not really working. Yeah. And the most important part is that you're getting into a AI data training that is very, very strict on certain elements that you as a corporate simply needs. That's super important. Yeah. So that even, I mean, think about OpenAI. Now OpenAI just opened it up for military use case as well. You know, they just did it like this. This is a no-go for so many different corporates in Germany, for instance, so they could not use it. And there are, of course, so many different discussions right now with something like Llama, for instance, right? They're just using data from Instagram or Facebook or wherever with just not a legal compliant way that they're doing it. So it's so important what we're providing here. We're providing content, we're training those data, the data that is coming from the corporate itself that has to be annotated, that has to be classified. So this is really, really important, because otherwise you're getting into problems, and those problems can be huge for your own brand. Yeah.
Do corporates see already the full value of AI, or do you feel there is still some resistance and some education that you need to do before actually engaging with them?
I mean, it's very interesting. The question is really good, because what we find out is that this is always the private view of next to everybody is that just trying out something like ChatGPT or other services, they just try it out and they find it interesting. And there's a lot of developers as well that are providing additional information to be more precise on everything. But then if you're going to the company world or the B2B side, it is fully different, because you cannot just use ChatGPT and using any kind of data out there and providing them in the way that you as a person might think it's interesting for you as a person. But the corporate side itself, they're getting a lot of risk, and they're getting maybe even a lot of brand problems that is going into social media, is going directly into claims from the legal side. So you really have to be approved to be fully in line with your corporate view on services.
You mentioned there are brand consequences. Why? What is going on that side?
Yeah, I mean, for instance, we're for the last version that we're right now providing with Humanindata, we're trying certain things for prompt testing and red teaming, and where, of course, from our team, we're doing additional testings and so on. So we tried out, for instance, with prompts to get information that are fully illegal. Yeah. And we're getting them. We're getting them from next to every LLM. We're getting information. You have to be a bit specialized. Yeah, call it like this. There are certain capabilities to define it as such, but we're able to do so. Yeah, if it's drug recipes, or if it's something that is politically incorrect. And if you're getting those information from a company that has, of course, certain brand related part into it, and you're getting those data out, and you as a person might use those data that is coming from a certain corporate and then directly push it into social media. Yeah, be my guest, you know what happens then.
How to hide a body. Instructions by the Coca-Cola bot on their websites.
Yeah, exactly. And that's something that a lot of different corporates are just pull the plug. Yeah, I mean, there was another company from Poland. They were doing a radio station that was providing by AI, and they fully pulled the plug. It's not possible, and you really have to think of it that your data has to be fully trained. You have to have a very strict relation to what do we want to achieve at all, and that comes from the whole life cycle. Before you deploy it, you have to train it. You have to define what you want to do. You train it as such. If before you deploy it, you have to test it with certain people that are coming from our community, so that they find out, is it really related to your corporate side, and do we get it as such that we're protecting your brand, and then you're starting it. But still, for the whole life cycle, you still have to do it all the time, because time is changing. Think about it. I mean, if political information is changing, or if any kind of products are no longer available, those has to be fully get out of your model fully. Yeah.
Yes. Where do you see Humanindata going in 5 years?
Yeah, good question. I mean, you can always think like we're going to be super relevant for every corporate in Europe. That's what of course we're trying to do. We're one part of this of the services that those company needs, right? One part of it. Yeah, we're looking very closely into which model we can define and train for this European background. Yeah. because for a lot of different corporates, it is no longer possible to just use something like OpenAI or something like Llama. It's not possible. Then you have to think about what do you actually want to use. Then there are the different data sets that the corporate is giving to us, and that has to be trained. Still something. So what we find out in the next 5 years, I can tell. I mean, I think that it is super relevant. It's really super relevant. Every corporate needs this. Really, every corporate needs this. With one part of it, with maybe like, I don't know, maybe 5% of the budget that they anyhow have to spend, maybe something like this, you know? If we're talking about what you need from the model side, from the infrastructure, from GPUs and so on, there's a lot of costs that those companies anyhow have. Yes, and we want to try to make it as possible for those corporates as possible anyhow, you know.
What do you see then is the biggest challenge for a company like yours to right now get to that point?
I mean, first of all, we're on a market that is very speed related. Yeah, there's a lot of different services that's coming out there. But if you're looking into it, most of those services that you find out is going more to this more private approach, you know, to create pictures, to do some kind of nasty video out of it just for faking stuff. If you think about XAI that you might have tried as well, has nothing to do with the corporate side, you know. Yeah. So it's really important to really foster the need for this corporate world. Yeah. And that's the most important part. And then there are certain information that we find out has been tried. It is like I just mentioned XAI, you know, that there was this robotics case. Have you heard about it?
Yes.
And it was driven by humans, you know. There's nothing to do with AI. It was fake, you know. And there are a lot of different parts here that are not possible in a fully ethical and fully compliant manner for corporates. It's not possible. And there is something that is called accuracy. So if you're getting data into a model and you want to get certain information out of it, you're getting an accuracy level. And you always want to have an accuracy of 1 because it's perfect. Then you know that it's true. What you normally get if you're doing scans and so on, you get something in between 0.6 to 0. If it's good, you're getting 0.9, you know. Mm-hmm. But as a corporate, if you provide something like this, somebody can scan in something and then they get some kind of an idea and information. And if it's 0.9, what is good? What is good? Yeah. But this means 10% of the information you're getting out of it is wrong. Yeah. And then think about it. If you are a corporate that is acting ethical and compliant correct, 90% is not possible, you know. 10% fake is a huge problem here. And this is the most important part here, that we're really getting into a very, very good approach here. The accuracy has to be next to 1. Yeah. It has to be true.
Do you think is there a need for a model, an LLM that's built from scratch with corporate in mind, something that's more accurate, that doesn't have these problems? That's the first part of the question. The second part would be, is there any chance that we see that model come out of Europe?
Yeah, I mean, definitely yes. For the first question, it is really important because something like I already mentioned, something like Llama, they're getting a lot of different legal problems right now, mainly in Europe, of course, because the data that is used for it is simply, yeah, it's not possible as such. Of course, they're always saying that it's only for the training of the LLM. Okay, you can think about it as this, but it's not really true. It's not really true. You're getting data out of it, you know, and then sometimes you're getting a certain watermark that is directly related to something that has maybe some kind of a copyright feature. Yeah, then it's a problem. And so you have to think about what kind of model can you use. I mean, in Hugging Face, there are a huge amount of different models out there. And there are really, really interesting features that are focusing, for instance, on mathematical approaches or features that are more to the medical part. So you have to really directly think about what is your perfect model for your use case. That's the first thing that you need to do. The second thing, of course, is for this for the main part, what kind of model can you actually use as a big corporate that is more on a end consumer side as well. And there, for instance, something like Mistral from France is an interesting one. I mean, Aleph Alpha had a problem with it, yeah. So they're now moving more into the consultant or OS part, what they're saying now, but they're not providing models anymore, yeah. And so from the European approach, we're right now very much looking into Mistral. They're working together with NVIDIA as well. We're part of the NVIDIA Inception program as well. And NVIDIA is, of course, the strongest player in the market anyhow. And they're looking into it much different than other model providers, like for instance, some XAI as well, of course, yeah. So you have to think about this as well. You have to really touch base on the model that you really want to use. And there's a huge amount of different models. And we're trying to get this into the European approach here so that we're getting a green light from the compliance side, from the corporate side. You know, it's important. And politicians as well. So it's a huge thing. We had a conference here in Frankfurt with government from Germany. And about 30 to 40% was about AI, you know, crazy. It's so important, crazy, really crazy. But the most important part was really how we're dealing with data to protect our need as a German, a German corporate side on one side, and even from the legal side, and what politicians want to create here.
Do you see Europe? Because I had a guest on the podcast recently that mentioned how he finds it right that America is the acceleration and the unregulated part. And he finds it also right that Europe is the more conservative, regulated part of the tech coin. Do you see that? Do you see Europe being a balance keeper, or do you think we are getting left behind?
It's a really good question. It's a really good question. It depends on the next steps that the EU Commission is doing on the one side, and all the different politicians from different countries here. And of course, Germany is one of the most important countries in Europe, of course. The discussion is very, very much into progressing our approach for Germany directly into the AI market, because everybody knows that if you want to get this from the financial situation for corporates, from everything that is towards futurism and so on, you cannot leave it behind. It is one of the most important technologies out there at all, yeah, really at all. And then you have to focus on generative AI is anyhow something that's quite new, yeah, quite new. But AI itself is like very, very old, very, very old, yeah. And then you have to think about what is the need, and the need for German and European corporates and society as well. It's huge. It's huge. It's so important, and we really have to invest much more than we did so far. It's far too low at the moment in Germany. We really have to invest far more.
It's also, we both were at the AI week some time ago, and it's also a part of the topic they were discussing in that last day about startups, about the state of VC in Germany, right? There is not that culture of taking risks and investing in companies. How do you see that? Do you think we need to take more risks and believe more in small European startups, even though in most cases they will not pan out, because that's what startups do?
100%. 100%. Right now, what do you have? You have business angels from the pre-seed, all those different stages. Then you have VC money, yeah, venture capital money, and then you have money that's really going all the way to the roof. This is really important. The thing that is really important as well is there's so many different startups right now in this AI world that are fully irrelevant. They are fully irrelevant. How do you? There are topics like you're doing like, I don't know, just how do you call it? Emotional things for end consumers or so, social media, or you want to create your whatever, create a new picture of yourself and so on. For the corporate side and for politicians and for the society, it's fully irrelevant. What we're doing with Humanindata, this is the definitely the absolute basis that is necessary for the AI market at all. Yeah. Then there are other topics like what you saw as well in AI Hub with the guys like Sebastian Heinz and so on. There were a lot of different people there that showed a lot of different startups and pitches. And there are so many different startups that we saw that are facing very much into the corporate world now as well. Yeah. And that's really important. And we really need from both sides. We need it from the society for so that we're getting funding from the state. Yeah. And on the other side, so that the relevant business angels and venture capitalists are moving money into it. It's far too less. Yeah.
I agree. Also, something I've noticed is that, and it's by nature, working with clients, I've noticed that corporates do not have the capability sometimes to just expand into AI. They're focused on other things. So you do need smaller companies to create solutions for them. Otherwise, they will not create them on their own, or they will create them and it will take extremely long just because it's the nature of corporates that every decision takes a while. And as you perfectly know, in this industry, there's no 3 years to develop something, to develop an MVP, just because corporate decided to take 3 years to make the decision. Needs to speed up.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the interesting part is that there are certain technologies out there that takes quite a long until you're getting something into a deployment, and then you have to decide what you want to achieve here. And if you just want to start with it, and as a corporate, you're starting with a chatbot, for instance, and then have a rack system under besides it, and a system that has certain additional features and creating any kind of fake protection. You can do it quite fast. You can really do it quite fast, and a lot of different corporates are using it so that they're trying it first with an internal AI system for their employees, to start with something at least, and then going the next step. Yeah, and it's even for the financial world. There's so many different elements in the AI world. So, as mentioned, I mean, generative AI is one part that is very much moving up because it's a huge speed. Other AI parts, of course, machine learning and anything that goes more to the something that is coming from your approach from your own corporate side. Some of them take longer, of course, yeah. But you can really start fast, but you have to be protective, really protective.
I agree. Remaining in topic on the corporate startups, do you think we will see in Europe or in Germany massive shifts in the next year or two, or it will more or less stay the same before it accelerates?
There is already a lot of shift. Yeah. I mean, right now, we just had this discussion here in Frankfurt at Digitalgipfel that there are at least at the moment 5 different projects or support from the government, from Hessian government, so that, for instance, there are like, I think, 10,000 GPUs for startups and corporates like us, so that we can create at least some kind of first approach. There are a lot of different activities here, and we cannot wait. I mean, interesting. I had a discussion with IBM a couple of weeks ago, and they told me, we should wait a bit. They looked at it like this. And then there were some other guys from Google. They said, yeah, it's quite a good idea. And then you find the guys from OpenAI, and it's like, do you want to wait? I mean, it's like every day there's something new. It's crazy. The speed is so huge. You cannot just pause it or something. You really have to move into it, but you have to do it properly. Yeah.
Speed is another topic. Do you? It seems like since ChatGPT came out, it's just been going faster and faster and faster. Do you think we will get to the point where it will slow down, or from now on, is this just our new normal? Are we just gonna have faster and faster technology every single month?
Yeah, good question. Good question. I mean, there at least two topics in it. One is energy consumption. It's huge. Yeah, I mean, right now in the US market, there are new data centers that are very much focusing just only on training AI data or creating LLMs. It's crazy. Yeah. This is something that in Germany we have to find some way to provide this as well. The other part, of course, is how do you want to achieve those base models, so that you have maybe three different base models on top of it. Then you have underneath it maybe just one smaller model that you're training from those three base models, but only for your protected version. And then beside it, you have a rack system that is then connected via some kind of a vector database to your whatever, a SQL database from your own or some kind of data lakes. This system itself seems complicated, but right now the different cloud providers are moving into it. We're discussing with them as well. Right now, we just started with Google Cloud, and we're right now part of Microsoft Azure as well. And this is something that the different corporates have to move into it and then define it as standards, as an easy standard, so that they do not invent them on themselves. Because what do they need? I mean, next to not everyone, but most of the corporates all need the same thing, but with their data, And this is something that is a bit a challenge right now. You really need to have startups maybe like us. Over there are so many other startups as well, and of course there are certain consultant companies based into it as well as a whole. And then you can create a full stack so that those corporates can then move into it. That's really important.
You mentioned energy consumption, which brought to my mind something I read, a couple of headlines I read recently about Amazon and I think Google that are investing, at least in America, they are investing in nuclear energy.
Microsoft and Google.
Yes, that was
they're doing
Microsoft
it.
and Google. Yes, got one wrong. What do you think about that? Because nuclear energy is one of those delicate topics in Europe, but I've always been fascinated by it. And now that they're using it for data, it fascinates me even more. So what's your take?
I mean, first of all, nuclear energy, there's so many different nuclear energy possibilities here. We in Germany, we stopped nuclear energy fully. And of course, it depends very strongly on what you want to achieve here. I mean, right now, the most important thing is you have those GPUs that are using a huge amount of energy. That's the most important thing here. And of course, they have a problem. And the first question would be, can we move them into some kind of more energy specific or less energy need for those GPUs? Right now, it's not possible. In the future, we'll know. I mean, it depends on what we're right now providing with this LLM is a very specific model to create these models. There are other technologies out there in the market, even from German technologists way back, that are right now discussing how to move into it. Could be possible. The nuclear, the nuclear plants is specific. I mean, we in Germany, we do not want to discuss it that much, as I understand. You can think of it as you like, but there are of course other possibilities there as well. But the question for me with those models is always, what do you actually need, and is this one model that you're creating, how long can you use it? Sometimes it's crazy. Yeah, you create a model and then something changed, and then like 1 month later you have to create it next to from zero. You have to create it again from scratch, and then it's a huge problem for you.
Let me switch gears on you here. When somebody enters your LinkedIn profile, they will see the first thing they will notice is 3 words: Web3, blockchain, and AI. So you've been riding the wave of this new tech for a while, because Web3 is not that young anymore. Same for the blockchain, same for AI. Where is the intersection between these 3 things?
I mean, first of all, it's always good to not overcomplicate things, So for a normal corporate that just want to provide AI data training, they need next to nothing that has to do with Web3 at the moment. They just need something that they can provide. What we're providing here, and this is why we're adding here 3 components. One, of course, is the AI data training, but the other part is that we have a full verified human, we call them data workers, and we're giving them what is called a self-sovereign identity. That's where I'm coming from over the last years. And this is based on what we're providing, where we came from with blockchain technology. You can do it with blockchain technology, you can do it with other technologies as well. But the most important thing is that you can use it even with something like a soulbound token as an NFT, so that you're showcasing that you have, for instance, certification for medical or for certain other whatever we have classification of knowledge. The other thing, and this is what is some of the most important part, is how do you want to deal with those tasks, and how do you get the direct payment rails into those data workers? I mean, right now there are about 400 million people that are operating as data workers worldwide right now, And how do you want to work with them to be fully fair, and that they're getting money as such, even if they're sitting in, I don't know, in Bangladesh, maybe in Germany, of course, as well, but they can sit in Africa, wherever. And of course, the payment has to be fully fair and as such that they can directly get it out there. So this is where we're using a technology with a token, so that they can directly get those tokens into their wallet. So that's why the app that we're using here has a full identity solution with it, with full verification worldwide, has a full Web3 wallet, so that they can directly get their tokens from us. And we have a solution that is fully getting the work done in a way that is, I mean, the guys that we're working with, they're right now doing 200 million jobs per month with this. Yeah? And this is what you really need for such a topic. So it has to do with the scale factor. And this is where we can deal very easily with Web3 technology and blockchain. And it is super fair. And we're doing additional features like reputation oracles and so on. Do not want to get too complicated, but for the corporate side, they do not need to touch blockchain and tokens and so on. But from the data worker side, it has to be super fair. They're very much in FOMO for this, and that's why we're combining those two as you think about. Yeah.
Do you think the future of Web3, because the hype has died down a bit, at least in the mainstream, is the future of the technology in digital identities?
I mean, first of all, digital identity is anyhow a standard that will come within the next 2 years. We're one of those very early birds on this. So we created all this technology that's now called self-sovereign identity. We created this as well over the last years, and now it is coming into a standard that every European citizen will have as a EU DI wallet. That's what it's called, And it's the same thing. It's with everything that's necessary, verifiable credentials, and even for whatever you need with it. What we're providing here as well, because if you have a wallet and you get your wallet, you open your wallet, you have the identity in it, and you have money in it, and you have your health certification, and whatever it is there, everything is within our wallet as well, you know? And that's why it is important, the digital identity, to just create it as a standard. It will be an absolute normal standard, you know? But it's important that it's not a bot. Yeah, it's not a bot. It's not fake, because this is a huge problem right now. It's a huge, huge problem. And this is what we as Humanindata are protecting. Because right now, if you're using other solution providers, it's all of them. Most of those things that you're getting out of is bot stuff. Yeah, forget about it. Yeah,
Bots are a massive problem all over the internet, right?
it's crazy. It's so crazy. It's unbelievable. Yeah.
I remember last year on Twitter, it was mostly bots every day, and you could spend hours just blocking bots. And now I'm noticing every time I post on LinkedIn, I get 2 or 3 bots commenting.
Yeah, absolutely. It's crazy. And you really have to, as a corporate side, you know, as a corporate, as a personal, yeah, as a private person, you can think about that. Yeah, you don't like it, and so on. It's stupid. But as a corporate, yeah, think about it. As a corporate, if you're dealing with data that are legally important for you, and then bots are doing this, this is a huge, huge problem. And this is for corporates, for everything that goes into the political world as well, and for other solutions like the legal stuff. It's a huge problem. And of course, what we're providing here will be a standard. Yeah, will be a standard. But digital identity is a normal thing. Yeah.
Great. As we approach closing the show, let's say that some of your ideal clients are watching this episode. How can they know if they are your ideal clients? Meaning, who do you work with? What size of company? With which industries? Which type of companies?
Yeah, that's really good question. So because there are 3 different parts here. Of course, we would like to talk directly to those LLM companies as well. We like to talk to the guys from OpenAI and Mistral and Llama and Anthropic. Of course, yeah, we like to talk to them, because anyhow they're right now using other providers with not that good data, call it like this, but we want to get it more protective for them. The other side is the enterprises. Those enterprises simply need something like this. It's one part of it, one part of the AI task that they have to do, one part of it. And the other side is just small startups or small businesses that just want to get into creating their first AI solution, and then going into the next phase. Yeah. So those are the 3 major companies or major addresses.
Great. Last question is, as I ask every guest, do you have an opinion that nobody agrees with that you still stand by?
If I have once again, I have
do you have an opinion that nobody agrees with that you still stand by? Any controversial opinions?
Good question. I mean, first of all, I think that this whole Web3 part is something that you can have different opinions on it. Yeah, you can really have different opinions on it. From my side, I see a lot of fake information that's coming from the Web3 world as well. Same thing goes for the AI world as well. So you really have to always look for and improve and create those information that you're getting with a certain additional, call it a testing phase, you know. But yeah, I mean, what I'm doing here is I'm trying to get it as a holistic approach from the AI data training world. And there are different companies that want to They do not want to work with it because they just want to create something that is already there. But what I found out, most of them are failing completely, and then it's a red flag. Yeah.
Would you say that companies, especially now that the AI hype is at its peak, are failing mostly because they are not solving real problems?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you really have to think about what is your scope. Yeah. What is your scope? What do you want to do? I mean, of course, you can create uh, some kind of I don't know, some log or something, and then create them via AI. Who cares? Yeah. I mean, maybe it's easier for you, but you really have to think about as a corporate, what do you want to achieve? What is your profession? What is your offering? And then think about what is your competitors? What are they doing? Because if a competitor of yours is more intelligent and think about to optimize this, they will simply, yeah, be more. They will. You will not compete with them if they're stronger and more intelligent. It's something. It is a must have. Yeah, you really have to get into it.
Like that. Where can people find more about you and about Humanindata if they want to get in touch?
Yeah, first of all, we're on LinkedIn. Always nice to talk about LinkedIn. The other thing is, of course, humanindata.com. And we're right now providing there a testing phase so that on the one side, the corporate world as well as data workers can directly sign up to it. And that's mainly what we're doing here. And then the other side, of course, if you're coming to Frankfurt, let us know. And sometimes, of course, we're having different events here as well, and then we can provide information to whoever wants to move into this AI data training market, of course.
Perfect. People, that was it for today. Oliver, thank you so much for being on the show. I really
Sebastian,
appreciate you
was a
being here.
pleasure.
Yes, I really appreciate you being here. And thanks for your time. People, do not forget, follow, subscribe, comment, support the show so I can keep bringing cool guests, people that are actually building meaningful tech. And that's it. I will see you next time, next week, with another episode of The Tech of Tomorrow with Sebastian Hidalgo. Bye bye.